What's up, guys, and welcome to the Isn't It Crazy podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Perez, and today we're going to be talking about Joe Biden versus Bernie Sanders. All right, so before we get to the Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders section of this podcast, I want to talk about the coronavirus. The last time I talked about it, I was mainly talking about my trip to Rome and how I couldn't go. Now it's getting a little bit more serious. Things are getting canceled left and right. The governor of Chicago passed a law that says you could only have half the capacity of your building. So say you have 300 people in a restaurant, now you can only have 150. And if you're serving alcohol, you can only have 100 people in there. So if you're planning on going out to bars or for the St. Patrick's Day celebrations, just know you might be waiting outside. And especially in Chicago, you're kind of fucked because it's freezing balls outside. And if you're from Chicago, you know they canceled the River Dye event and the parade. So not only are we stuck at home, bored because there's nothing to do, and I guarantee you there's like thousands of high school kids that are disappointed that they don't get to underage drink at the parade this year, because I know we did it when we were in high school and we still do it now. Now we're not underage, but it's an excuse to day drink and hang out with your friends. And now you can't do that because they canceled that and they limited the bars. But other things that are getting canceled are the NBA, MLS, the NHL. So not only are we stuck at home, we can't watch any sports, which is pretty fucking boring. I know ESPN and Fox have been debating other stuff like where Tom Brady's going to go, but there's not a lot of things to talk about now that there's no sports around. So the longer this goes, the harder I see it for ESPN and Fox to talk about anything other than the virus and the closure and what they think is going to happen. But other than that, I don't know what they're going to talk about. But one thing I think is the dumbest part of this whole thing is bulk buying. Or whether you're bulk buying toilet paper or fresh vegetables and fruits and meats, like, we're buying the wrong thing. If you guys want to stock up for something like a quarantine, you might want to buy canned foods and dry goods and anything that's going to last you a long time. Because we don't know how long the quarantine might be, right? But stockpiling toilet paper and fresh fruits and vegetables is not going to help you at all. It's not a shitting bacteria. You're not going to shit your pants if you catch it. If you're going to go through a shit ton of toilet paper, you might as well go to the hospital, get yourself checked. And one of the solutions I came up with was just go shit at work. That's where I do my business. I go to work, make it their problem. My work has a closet full of toilet paper, but that's only because they order it in bulk and it's brought from a supplier to offices like that. So they have plenty of toilet paper there. And in the weekend, maybe I need one roll. Or I go use my girlfriend's roll. If you're going through a roll throughout a weekend, like I said, you have a problem. You have to go get checked or something. That's a lot of pooping. So I don't get the idea. And the thing I'm curious about is finding the person who started the rumor about toilet paper. It's either one person started it, an official said it, or it was a social media thing where everybody thought they needed toilet paper. And I just want to find the source of the stupidity and see if it was a joke. Because if it was a joke, that's a pretty funny joke that got out of hand. And now the country is seeing a shortage of toilet paper. And the fresh fruit and vegetables thing, like, you guys understand. Vegetables and fruits do go bad in 1 to 2 weeks. So I don't get why everybody's buying that. You go to the medicine aisles, you go to the vitamin aisles, they're fully stocked. And nobody's buying that shit. So I don't get the mentality of panic buying. You're buying shit that's going to go bad anyways. And then you think you have this stockpile of fresh fruit and stuff, and then you're in quarantine for a week to a month. And if it goes a month, then that shit's going to waste. You're not going to be able to eat it all. And if you do, then you're already fucked. Can you go back out? So you got to buy things that are going to last. Canned foods, dry goods, something with preservatives. I know a lot of people don't want to eat that shit, but if you're trying to survive, that's what's going to get you there. So I want to know who started the toilet paper thing because I literally saw a video where this lady was getting her ass beat over toilet paper and they were calling the cops and she didn't give a fuck. She was going to hold on to the toilet paper like it was going to shield her from every disease. She was never going to get AIDS or anything. Like God gave her this toilet paper, so she was going to hold on to it. And I think it's just mass hysteria and stupidity going around. So learn your facts. If you listen to the doctors, there's doctors been on Joe Rogan, the Dan Patrick Show, CNN. They're all kind of saying the same thing. Wash your hands, stay away from people, clean surface areas that a lot of people touch. And if you're feeling sick, stay home. And if you do get it, don't freak out. You're going to have mild symptoms. And if it is severe, go to the hospital. But if you're having a cold or you think you have it, the best thing you could do is quarantine yourself. Because if you've ever gone to a emergency room like I have, because like I go once every year because I'm a moron, I literally show up and have to wait 46 hours sitting there because there is a lot of people on a regular day. Now imagine now that there's like this virus going around. There's probably thousands of people that are going to try to go, and hospitals aren't equipped to handle that much traffic. And if you're taking a bed from someone who really needs it, you're probably the problem, not the solution. You're causing other people to probably die. If you take a bed and you're only 23, 24, and they're telling you you're going to be fine if you just stay home, and there's a 70-year-old that can't get a bed because you're there freaking the fuck out, that 70-year-old is at greater risk of dying than you are. So only go if it's severe. Stay home if you can. I know my job you can't do from home. It's not possible. I can't sit at a computer and do my job. I have to physically go work. So them saying that they're going to call it off, it's harder for me to stay home, but if I did contract it, I wouldn't go, which kind of scares the fuck out of me because I am going to New Orleans on Friday. So we'll see how long the lines are at O'Hare. I heard it was 4-hour wait just to get a health screening and get through customs and stuff. So we'll probably be there half a day. I don't know. Hopefully we don't get quarantined in New Orleans, or else I will not be back in time to shoot my next podcast. I won't even be back in time to go to work. So if not, then I'm going to have to rent a car and drive all the way up here. I don't know what's going to happen. That's like last case result, me getting the car. Hopefully everything goes good. We have fun over there and we don't have to wait too long at the airport. But enough about the coronavirus. I know I scroll through social media and there's a million people talking about this. It's getting a little boring, a little annoying that this is the only thing they talk about. I'd rather people talk about how, I don't know, sharing memes and stuff like that. I don't want to keep hearing about this coronavirus thing. But if the word saves some people, then I'm all for it, I guess. So let's talk Bernie Sanders versus Joe Biden. I was about to say Joe Rogan. So if you've been keeping up with the Democratic elections, you know that Joe Biden has a lead on Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders I feel like he always gets fucked. But when it was with Hillary Clinton, they said there was like some shady business going behind the scenes at the DNC. And that's why Hillary Clinton got the vote, because they thought Hillary Clinton had the best shot at beating Trump. And clearly that didn't happen. So from what I heard, Bernie wasn't gonna run anymore, and then he did run again. But this year he is running again, and I do see a lot of Bernie support. But every time I see somebody supporting Bernie, you have to ask, what are the motives behind? Are you voting for Bernie because of his social ideals, like free Medicare for all, or are you voting because you don't want to pay your student loan? That's a huge thing, If say Bernie came out tomorrow and said, yes, there's going to be free university for anybody, but starting from when I become president, anybody that owes the government or banks student loans has to pay that back. There's a lot of people complaining that they can't pay their student loan back. This is you made a financial decision to pay that money back. Nobody forced you. Nobody even forces you to go to college. College does open up more doors, but if you're going to make a grown decision and say, I want to go to college, I want to follow this career, and then take out a $200,000 loan, go to college, graduate, and then find out that your job doesn't pay you enough to pay back this $200,000 loan, that's on you, playboy. That's on the person who made that decision to pay it back. Am I supposed to feel bad for somebody who didn't do the research, who didn't see and ask the right questions? How much money does somebody make in my field? How long does it take to pay back their loans? There's a lot of people that do their research, get a good job, and then pay their loan back. What about those people? Do they get their money back because they were responsible enough to pay for their loan when they had to? I feel like there's a bunch of crybaby people that don't want to pay back, that want to get a house, want to get a car, but now they can't afford it because they made a bad financial move at the beginning of their career. And now they're at a job that doesn't pay them enough to cover all those expenses. That's your fault for not doing the research. And if it is your passion, if that's what you want to do, then these are the hurdles you're going to have to go through. And if it's truly your passion, you're not going to be like, I hate this. I'm never going to get out of it. You're going to find a way through. You're going to find a solution to your problem. But there's a lot of people that didn't do their research, didn't find out how much money their fields actually made, and spent a lot of money that they didn't have, and now they don't want to pay it back. So now you get a candidate like Bernie Sanders who comes out and says, you guys don't have to pay it back. And everybody wants to vote for him because of that. Is it borderline buying your vote if he promises you that you don't have to pay for your student loans? I don't know if that's illegal or not. Can a candidate just come out and say, I will give you $10,000 if you vote for me? That's buying somebody's vote, right? Isn't it the same thing than saying, I will pay for your student loan if you vote for me? Isn't that the same thing? Or am I getting something wrong here? I get that it's a burden, and I get that it's hard for some people to pay back. But if you did not do your research, that's on you. I bought a car, and now I have to pay my car note. But it's like me buying a car and then complaining that I have to pay my car note because it's too expensive. Because I didn't do my research knowing how much is the car going to cost? Am I going to be able to pay for it? I didn't do anything that. And then I'm going to be surprised when there's a $400 car note in my mailbox. No, I knew what I was signing. I knew what I was getting into. So should you. And I think if Bernie was to win, he should say free college for everybody from now on. Not free college for everybody that already made that financial decision and now is complaining about it because they don't want to pay it back, or they can't pay it back because the job in their field doesn't pay them enough. You make your decisions. Now, these are the consequences that you have to do. You want that job, you want that office job, okay? This is what you're going to have to pay for. And you could say like, oh, the banks tricked me, but the banks tell you straight up every single time. I've gotten loans. They tell you, this is how much you pay. This is how much you're going to owe us. And it's plain and simple. It's right there. But it's your job, not the bank's job, to tell you if it's a good decision or not. It's your job to make that decision yourself. So if you're going to vote for Bernie because you just want your student loans to go. So if you're going to vote for Bernie just because you want your student loans to go away, you're doing it wrong. Because you don't care whether or not he's going to use the taxes from somewhere else to pay for your thing. You just want it gone. You want this mistake that you made, that you've been complaining to your friends and family about, to just be gone. Now, I know it sounds like I'm shitting on Bernie, but that's the motive I find a lot of people voting for Bernie is. Other motive would be healthcare for all. And I agree with that. There's people that can't work and can't afford insurance. If you look at what happened with the coronavirus, if everybody was covered, everybody would maybe be more at ease because they know there's a safety net there that will take care of them if they do get sick. Maybe a lot of the panic buying is because there isn't healthcare for all. Maybe there's people without insurance freaking the fuck out because they're like, if I get it, I'm fucked. So maybe healthcare for all would ease some problems in the country. But the whole student loan thing, I think, is ridiculous. I think it's dumb. I think it gives people a way out of their mistake. So if I vote for Bernie, I'm not voting for my student loans to go away. I'm voting for him because I want healthcare for all, and I want a candidate that has experience in the government. He has been a senator for years. Even in his early career, he was very involved in the government. But so was Joe Biden. Joe Biden has been in the government his whole life. And to me, if you want to be president, shouldn't you go to school to be president? I don't get why there's no requirement to become president other than your age and where you were born, right? So Donald Trump had never served in office ever in his life. He had never passed any laws. He didn't go to school for law. And yet he's president of the United States with no qualifications. One of the most important jobs in the world does not necessarily need you to have a degree from anything or training from anything. You just have to win the votes. You have to be a good speaker and convince everybody that you're going to do what you're saying you're going to do. And if you have enough people that believe you and they vote for you, you get to become president. So shouldn't there be like a presidential school where you take a bunch of kids that want to be president and teach them everything from global economics to how to run a country to how to run the military? Shouldn't you have a standard for the presidency? I guess the best thing we could hope for is that somebody who's been in the government for a very long time can win the presidency because they at least know what they're doing. You know, they've passed laws, they've passed bills. And when it comes to Joe Biden, he's done all that and more. Out of all three of the main candidates that are running for the 2020 presidential election, Biden is the only one that has served as senator and has served as vice president. So he kind of knows what he's doing. And if you look at the polls right now, Joe Biden is leading in front of Bernie. So it's kind of hard for me to choose who I'm going to vote for. Because on one side, I want Bernie to win, but that's empathy and because I want healthcare for all. And I see his passion and I see his drive. And I know he's been in the government for a long time. But in the other part, Joe Biden is already in the lead. You know, is there a chance that Bernie could win? Yes, but it's very slight. So should I vote for Bernie and waste my vote? Or should I vote for Biden and make sure he's the candidate that's going to win the election? I don't know. You know, my election date is March 17th. Everybody in Illinois, I think, is March 17th. My voting poll is literally like 2 minutes, like a 2-minute walk from my house. It's at a church right here down the street. So I have a couple of days to think of who I'm going to choose. I think I might just go with Biden just because he is winning the race and it's kind of slim to see Bernie. You know, I feel so bad for Bernie because you could see this guy wants to win it so bad. You could see he's passionate about it. He has a lot of great ideas. And do I agree with all his ideas? Fuck no. I don't think he should give everybody a free pass on the financial mistake that they made. But I also think he should take care of everybody. But then you have to think about how the government works. So the government works by introducing a law and everybody votes on it. If it gets passed, then it becomes a law, right? But the Senate and the House both have to pass that law. They have to take votes, and that's where it's hard. So you need somebody that's going to be able to bring everybody together and pass the laws because that's the only way things are going to get done. You know, you got to have somebody that's kind of in the middle that appeals to Republicans, then that appeals to Democrats. And I think Joe Biden would probably be the best choice to do that. Bernie has some radical ideas that a lot of people would be yes and no, clear cut. And Biden has certain ideas where you could go either way. You know, maybe the Republicans would like it, maybe the Democrats would like it. So I feel like Biden would get more done just because he's been in that position, just because he probably has more sway. He doesn't have such radical ideas like Bernie does. So I think Biden is going to win. But if you're asking me, who would I like to see go against Donald Trump? For sure, Biden. Because Bernie's going to go up and attack Donald Trump with facts. You know, he's going to kind of overload his system and kind of make him look dumb. But Biden's going to talk shit. And they already talk shit. You know, Trump makes fun of Biden for being old and sleepy. He calls him Sleepy Joe or something like that. And Joe Biden says he's going to take him behind the school and beat the shit out of him. So you could see where there's an entertainment value to it. But again, we're not here for entertainment. We're here to see what's going to happen for the future of the United States. And as far as Donald Trump has gone, he hasn't done a very good job. You can tell he doesn't know how to handle stress very well. If you look at the coronavirus, he doesn't even know what the fuck to do. I feel like a lot of people are pushing him to say and do a lot of things that he doesn't even understand he's doing. There's a lot of smart people backing him and saying, hey, you got to tell him it's an emergency state now. Hey, you got to go out there and say, like, these are the facts. And even when he's talking, you could tell that this guy has no idea what he's doing. So we need a president that's going to know the facts and somebody that's going to know how to handle themselves in a stressful situation and make his own decisions. Because if you don't know how to make your own decisions, then people are going to be very influential on you. And some people might have an agenda, which I feel like Trump is definitely that type of person that could become a puppet at some sort. So we definitely need somebody that's been in the government for a long time and knows what they're doing and is going to get shit done and is going to know how to get shit done, how to sway both the Senate and the House to pass the bills that they want to get done. Not just the orange guy that knows how to talk, and barely that. A lot of people want to see change, and I don't think Donald Trump has delivered. So whoever comes out of the Democratic convention, whether it's Bernie or Biden, I hope one of them wins the presidency. I think Biden might win, so I might vote for him. I don't know. I'll see. I'll see how I feel the day of when I wake up on Tuesday and have to go vote. But other than that, there was one very good fight over the weekend. It was Kevin Lee versus Oliveira in Brazil, and there was nobody in attendance, which might give you a little preview of what's going to happen in the coming weeks. There's concern that the Tony versus Khabib fight might not happen, but hopefully if it doesn't happen in New York, they could take the fight from New York to the Apex Center in Las Vegas. That's usually where they shoot Dana White's Contender Series, and anything small scale, they do have a ring, and their production can be done there without having some huge arena. I definitely want to see that fight, but if you saw the Kevin Lee versus Oliveira, Kevin Lee got caught in a guillotine and tapped out in the third round. What was crazy about the fight was that Kevin Lee didn't even know he had tapped, which is crazy. He was still trying to wrestle him after the referee separated them. And the referee had to tell him, you tapped out. It must have been really bad. He might have blacked out, came back to when he let go, and did not know that he tapped. So I feel bad. Kevin Lee was on such a good run, and he had switched coaches. And well, he didn't really switch coaches. His coach died, and that sucks. So he went to Faraz Zahabi, who trained George St. Pierre, and Faraz Zahabi just has the best game plans. And when it comes down to game plans, the creepy part about not having anybody there is that you could hear every shot the fighter took, and you could hear every command the coaches told him to do. And I don't know if that would have changed a little bit if there was a crowd, because the coaches are seeing angles that you're not, because you're in a fight. But if a coach tells you pass his guard or grab his elbow and you could hear it clearly, you're going to be able to follow that direction so much better. So did Oliveira follow through his coach's advice because there was nobody in the arena? I don't know, but it's definitely somebody's advantage there. Whoever could hear it better kind of has an advantage because they know what's happening around them and what's happening. Maybe they're not seeing something, so their coach yells it out, and now they have an advantage. But either way, Kevin Lee lost and Oliveira won, and now he's becoming a contender in the lightweight division. So I'm very excited to see what's going to happen with him. He's really good at submissions, and he's decent on his standing. Kevin Lee did crack him a couple times, and he stayed up, so his chin is very good. And it was just creepy not seeing anybody there. It felt like a prelim card because there was no fans, and you could hear every shot, which was cringy because there was like a reflex to every shot that they took. Every time I heard that noise, my body would jump back. It was kind of weird, but hopefully they can go ahead with the UFC 249. If not, I guarantee you they move it into the Apex, and it's going to be a completely different fight because both Khabib and Tony Ferguson are going to be able to hear each other's coaching, and somebody's going to have an advantage there. But hopefully we do see it. Dana White, do not cancel this fucking fight. It's been made 4 times before, and 4 times it got canceled. Whether it was Khabib not making weight, whether Khabib had to go to the hospital, or Tony Ferguson getting injured when he fell and tripped over some wires and fucked up his knee. You know, there's bad juju on this fight every single time. It's the fight everybody wants to see. It's the fight that's going to determine a lot where Conor's going to go, who Conor's going to fight, who's next in the lightweight division. So we need to see this fight. All right, so I always end these podcasts with something like a show suggestion or a movie suggestion, and I got 2 really good ones. I think guys are gonna like the first one. It's called Formula One on Netflix, and season 2 just came out. If you know anything about cars or like just watching races, Formula One is definitely the show you should be watching. It teaches you what happens behind the scenes of every Formula One team, and you see the high stakes and all the money that gets put into it. Not only do they show you the races, they show you a little bit of the drivers, but a lot of the cool and interesting thing is how they make the car, how they manage the car, and what happens when things don't go right. So what happens when you have shitty managers and shitty factories? You know, there's a reason why Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull, they're all at the top of the F1 charts because these companies have billions of dollars to put into their cars, into their teams, and they could hire the best drivers and the best crew pits. So there's a lot of drama whether, you know, somebody wins the world championship. I know next year they're going to change all that. So it gives you a good opportunity to get to know who the drivers are, what teams, what happens during the Formula One, how long the Formula One season is. And it also shows you the drama and the struggle to become a world-class driver and become a world championship team at the Formula One level. I think Netflix, it's one of their best documentaries. It's one of their best shows, and it's only going to keep going. You know, the popularity from season 1 to 2, you could tell. Season 1, Mercedes and Ferrari were not part of the show. Now, the season 2, they saw how popular this thing became. So now all these top teams are jumping onto the bandwagon and they're shooting this show, and you get to see the best drivers in the world go head to head. And it gets you excited. You know, now this year I'm going to watch the season. I'm going to see who wins, what changes they make, what drivers are good. And it all started because I clicked on a show about cars. So I suggest you guys watch it. I know guys will enjoy the shit out of it. I certainly did. It's a great show to watch if you got nothing else to watch. Other than that, you should definitely watch the movie Contagion. It's got Matt Damon. It's got a bunch of other people, but it shows you what happens to the world at the worst when it comes to pandemics like a virus or a flu or a bacterial thing. It shows you what could happen if there was a disease or a virus that could kill somebody in 3 days. You know, the whole world freaks out, military comes in. It kind of scares you, and I know it's probably not the best movie you should be watching around this time, but it kind of shows you how bad it can get and how sophisticated the government is to getting things done. You know, I guarantee you, if you watch this, there's a lot of people that are going through what the doctors and the people trying to save the world are doing right now. So, yeah, check out that movie, check out that show, and I literally ran out of time. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Stay safe, stay clean, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.